Welcome to another episode of Space at the Table, where we bring together voices from across the spectrum to discuss the critical issues impacting our communities and businesses today. I'm your host, Bernadette Austin, CEO of CivicWell, where we support leaders responding to the climate crisis and its impact on their communities. Today, we're diving into a topic that is not only vital for our environment, but also crucial for the economic health of our state: California's transition away from carbon dependency. As we move towards a more sustainable future, it's imperative that this transition is equitable and inclusive, ensuring that small and minority businesses are not left behind. I'm thrilled to be joined by today's guest, Noemi Gallardo. Ms. Gallardo is the first Latina Commissioner on the California Energy Commission. She was appointed to the CEC last February by Governor Gavin Newsom and worked for SunRun Inc. and the Greenlining Institute. Ms. Gallardo is lead commissioner for the Clean Energy Hall of Fame Awards, an annual event designed to honor the leadership and outstanding achievements of Californians who help advance the state's clean energy goals. She continues to drive the state towards its goal of 100% clean energy by 2045. Thank you so much for joining us for our conversation today.
Thank you, Bernadette. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Wonderful. So, Commissioner Gallardo, first what I wanted to ask you was, how is the California Energy Commission working to ensure that small and minority-owned businesses can participate and benefit from the state's transition to clean energy?
It's a great question, and I want to start out with some of our history. So, the California Energy Commission has a mission to get to an 100% clean energy future for all Californians. This goes in line with the governor's mantra of a California for all. So back in 2015, the Energy Commission made a commitment to diversity in a lot of forms. And it was put in writing, so it's a resolution we adopted, and it included a focus on supplier diversity, so helping ensure that we were increasing opportunities for small businesses, diverse-owned businesses to participate in this clean energy future that we're creating. So we start with that base. And then in 2019, we started an initiative called the Justice, Access, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Initiative. JAEDI is the acronym. And there we started working on more actions to be able to ensure that we were increasing opportunities and creating new types of pathways for small businesses, diverse-owned businesses, to be able to participate in our clean energy future. So we put together what we called a community of practice that brought together staff from different divisions to talk and try to figure out what do we need to do to help ensure that we are attracting small and diverse-owned businesses to all the work that we're doing? You know, what can we do to help ensure that they're participating? And what can we do to ensure that they're aware of what's going on? And so it was really wonderful to see the staff get excited and work together on this area. And they developed some recommendations. They just delivered them on earlier this year. And we're going to go through that, vet, and see what can we actually move forward with and when. So I think you'll be able to see a lot more of the results once we implement some of those ideas that the staff has put together. So I just wanted to open with some of that history of our commitment to ensuring that we have opportunities for small businesses, diverse-owned businesses, et cetera.
Yeah, that's really great. I think that it's wonderful that you bring a wealth of experience, understanding the staff perspective and in your role as commissioner. I think that there's a lot of great work to be done. So let's pivot a little bit to legislation. So you may be familiar, hopefully, that the Equity and Energy Initiative that would have been established by AB 1198 would have aimed to increase participation of diverse businesses in the energy sector. Now, we acknowledge that the bill failed due to some budget constraints, but maybe you can tell us what specific strategies or programs are being implemented to help advance towards this goal.
Well, I'll say this. I didn't get very familiar with the bill as it was moving. But I do think that we need to put more efforts into creating opportunities. So I told you what we were doing internally with our staff, and the state has done a lot. So one thing that the state has required is for state entities to have basically what they call a supplier diversity champion, someone internally who can ensure that there's information being tracked about what types of contracts. We are, enabling small businesses or businesses that are owned by disabled veterans. So those are two areas, right, that we focus on: small business and disabled veteran-owned businesses. And so, we try to meet those goals. There's a goal of 3% for disabled veteran-owned businesses. There's a goal of 25% for small businesses. Our numbers fluctuate at the Energy Commission. We tend to be around that. So for 2023, 2024, we were at 2.9% for disabled veteran-owned businesses and 27% for small businesses, so exceeded on the small businesses. And then there's other businesses, right? So there's women-owned businesses, there's LGBTQ plus owned businesses, there's minority-owned businesses. And so we need to create more opportunities for them as well. So there's this, state goals. And then internally for Energy Commission, for example, we're trying to ensure that in our equitable building decarbonization program, as an example, it's a big investment, and there's going to be big opportunity there for contractors. So part of our criteria, which is one of the mechanisms that we're using to help ensure other folks are getting opportunities, is requiring for local contractors to also meet, additional criteria of being women-owned, LGBTQ plus owned, or minority-owned, or small business owned, and DVBE, the disabled veteran-owned as well. So that'll be a major opportunity. And then also on the workforce side, there's opportunities for small-owned businesses or small businesses and diverse-owned businesses to be able to get stipends and other types of opportunities to strengthen their workforce or expand their workforce. So those are some of the things. And then I also have to give a lot of credit to the California Public Utilities Commission. They have a incredible program. I would call it a gold standard for California and for other states on supplier diversity. There was a General Order 156, to establish their program. And so they don't have requirements. They have reporting that they ask the investor-owned utilities to do. And that has enabled and encouraged the utility companies to do more on the supplier diversity front, and has generated millions of dollars for, businesses that may not have otherwise garnered those opportunities. So I think policy makes a major impact. And so I want to give support to the legislators who are trying to help us advance these efforts. And at the same time, we do have some efforts that we're already moving. And internally at the Energy Commission, for example, we're also taking it upon ourselves to try to do even more and better.
Right. Well, I want to acknowledge a couple of things. The first is people may not realize, California is a large and diverse and very complex state. So we often have multiple agencies who are working on some of the same industries and fields. And so you represent the California Energy Commission. There's also the CPUC. And it's really wonderful to hear those opportunities for the agencies like those two to work together on a shared goal. That's really going to be critical moving forward.
Absolutely. And what I'll add there too, Bernadette, we highlight their efforts. They've done fantastic on that front. And we're also trying to send representatives from the Energy Commission to the various events that they have for supplier diversity. So there's an annual, I think actually now they're making a biannual en banc, where there's an exposition. Vendors are, located there, have booths, and can provide information to people who are interested in opportunities. So the Energy Commission has been participating in that en banc for the last few years, and that has also been fruitful for us. So we're continuing to support our peer agency and the Public Utilities Commission, and hopefully, like I said, stepping up to do even more ourselves.
That's excellent. And I want to highlight too, while today we are focused on the discussion around energy and the work that you do, I really try and encourage some of the colleagues of mine and business owners that I work with to really look at these different designations. Many people are familiar with minority and women-owned businesses, but there are many other designations that they may benefit from. And I'll highlight, certainly people are very aware of the federal funding coming out for infrastructure. I also need to remind people that we have a lot of local infrastructure improvements going on, whether that's improving our water infrastructure, whether that's preparing for the LA Olympics. there's a large opportunity for companies to get those designations that they are entitled to that can then help them be even more competitive when it comes to these great opportunities, infrastructure being a very large one. So I'd love to kind of pivot the conversation and think about, again, what are some of the recommendations and advice that we might have for small and diverse businesses? So what specific strategies or programs is the Commission implementing to increase participation by these diverse businesses in the energy industry? So if you can give us a couple of examples.
Absolutely. So one of the efforts that we're proud of that we did to help increase these opportunities and make people aware of them is building a platform. It's called Empower Innovation. It can be found at empowerinnovation.net. So it's online, and it's meant to create a venue for companies and communities and others to look and see what are the various funding opportunities that are available, what are other types of partnership opportunities that are available. So someone can register there and say, hey, I'm a woman-owned business. I'm looking to do more in the clean energy space. Here's are the services or resources that we offer, and then see if anyone else will reach out to them, respond, and see there's this project we would love for you to join. Or there can be projects basically promoted there, and they can indicate what types of needs they have. And so contractors can go here and find out, how they can benefit from these opportunities. So I would encourage folks to look at empowerinnovation.net, register, and learn more about what's available there. So that's one of the things we've done, and we're looking to update the platform, make it even better and more user-friendly for folks to be able to engage there. And I don't have specific stats on how successful the platform has been, but in terms of anecdotes, we have heard people who may not have known about each other be able to meet there on the platform and engage in some business opportunities. So we've heard it does work, and it's also a way to find out about all these amazing funding opportunities that are coming our way at the state level and also in the federal level. So we're eagerly awaiting more of that funding from the feds, but this is a platform where you can find out about that as well.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear. And I'll just highlight that too. It is really exciting to see state agencies and federal agencies working collaboratively. The last time that we saw each other, you were a speaker at one of Civic Well's conferences. We also benefited from hearing from a representative from the Department of Energy. So the U.S. Department of Energy, the federal agency, we also had a chance for some of our representatives to engage with that partner. And it was really exciting to hear the federal agencies are really invigorated by what's happening in California. So in addition to the wealth of opportunities that the state is making available, by having a platform like this, you can really help make those connections to, again, federal opportunities and more, because we are expecting more to keep coming down the pipeline.
I agree with you. And I think the other exciting part about the, federal action that's happening right now is their commitment to justice as well, and helping ensure that communities that haven't benefited in the past are able to participate now and get the value of these dollars. And so, the layering of the state and federal funding, I think, is going to go so much further, and hopefully will, benefit all types of communities, including the businesses that, the communities depend on, and that the businesses, depend on these communities to be able to thrive and provide, really crucial and fundamental resources to them. So it's wonderful to see all of that happening. And I think it's inspirational for us, too, at the state, when we're talking about doing more for disadvantaged communities, for example. Well, here's the federal government saying, you know what, we agree with you, and we're going to help do that with more of our dollars. So it's definitely inspiring for us to, get that support.
We'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Google, for supporting today's podcast and for their ongoing commitment to driving positive change in our communities. We appreciate the support of SMUD in bringing you this episode. SMUD is committed to providing clean, reliable energy while supporting our local community. one of the things that's been inspiring me is seeing so many of my colleagues who have come from industry and community work who are really being advocates at the state level. And I see you as one of those people. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what inspired you. Again, you've worked with communities, you worked on behalf of communities and businesses. So I want to hear, what inspired you to come take on this role at the CEC.
Thank you. There's several reasons that motivated me to take on the role of commissioner. So it is a big role, lots of responsibility and a major duty. And as a California girl, I thought, well, this is going to be the best way for me to be able to contribute back all of the wonderful opportunities that I've been able to maximize because I'm in California. So my parents are both immigrants from Mexico. They met in California. That's California is where I grew up, where I was raised. And then we were low income for the majority of my life. However, they were agricultural workers. And then there was a point where they had opportunities to have their own small businesses. And I noticed that that's where our lives started turning. So my dad went from being an agricultural worker to owning his own landscaping business. It may sound fancy, but it's just himself, independent contractor. But he was able to do more on his own and with his small business than he was working for someone else in agriculture. And then my mother was really good at caregiving, and she started getting business that way, where she was referred to one person then another, and that small business for her ended up being what helped change our lives. So my parents were able to buy their first home and get that, American dream because of their small businesses. And so I've always been a fan of, enabling people to have that type of opportunity that can help transform their lives. And I think having that opportunity led them to prosperity they wouldn't have had otherwise. And then I'll also say I owned my own small business. I was an interpreter and translator before I went into policy, and had a thriving little business in Ventura County and really enjoyed it. I found it rewarding. I liked being my own boss. And so that was really important to me. So all of these experiences that I had, either observing my parents or, having them myself, I'm taking with me as a commissioner now. So I think about, what did I go through? What would I have, appreciated, and what would I have needed? And I try to think about, what can the Energy Commission do? What can I do as a commissioner in this role, having had those experiences? So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to do that. So I'm the first Latina to serve as a commissioner at the Energy Commission. But I think what's more important than having that diversity is having that specific and different and unique experience to be able to help me craft even better policies, better programs, better practices. And so I talk about that a lot, how those early experiences are benefiting me now and making me, I think, a better commissioner because of it.
Absolutely. I often find myself mentoring young professionals, and I tell them, don't shy away from, in fact, lean into your lived experience, because someone may have the same educational or work background as you do, but nobody has your lived experience. And I have seen so many opportunities where when people can bring their lived experience to their leadership roles, it's incredibly powerful. And it usually can speak to the next generation. I also love what, some of the things that I think about in working with small businesses is often people get into small business because they're really good at that skill. That doesn't necessarily mean they either have the training or the skills that they've needed to be successful in that business. So not to say that they're not sophisticated, but you can be really good at that particular job, but, support around marketing, management, et cetera. So I think what I'd like to ask next is, small businesses often face challenges in adopting new energy technologies. How is the Commission addressing these barriers and providing support for energy efficiency upgrades for small and diverse businesses?
That's a fantastic question. And grab my notes because we are really excited about some funding that we're going to be getting from the Inflation Reduction Act, so federal funds. There's going to be a specific program that provides training for residential contractors. So it's called CA-TREC. TREC is the acronym. And that's going to be opportunities to expand the workforce and basically focused on the workforce, so providing subsidies for apprenticeships, pre-apprenticeships, stipends for trainees. So basically like earning while they learn, right? Which is really important. Stipends for certification as well, so they can expand their resumes, their expertise, et cetera. So I think that's going to be a great model for us to look at on how we can do more at the Energy Commission for folks who are excited about getting into the clean energy space, but maybe don't have the exact experience required or the expertise or even the confidence. Sometimes they might actually be able to transition fairly easily, but because they're unsure, they may hesitate. So we don't want that to happen. We want to help ensure that those folks who are excited can come in. So that's going to be a great opportunity. There's also a program called Tech Clean California that has over 750 contractors. I was told that a majority of them are small businesses. And so that's another opportunity where folks will be able to work on upgrades, for appliances, other types of installations, et cetera, and be able to, learn more and get opportunities for contracting. And there is going to be a focus on contractors who can go into rural areas, who can work with tribes, and who can work with justice communities, which I think, is an area where not all contractors are comfortable or familiar. And so this is an opportunity for small businesses and diverse-owned businesses that are from those communities to be able to, get a heads up or a hand, put a foot forward because they're already familiar with these communities. So that'll be a big opportunity. And I don't have a ton of detail on these right now, but we will be crafting more information about these programs soon. And so I would encourage people to look at the California Energy Commission website to find out more information, or go on to empowerinnovation.net to find out the details. They'll be coming in the next few months.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'll share with you that in the spring, I was visiting DC, talking with folks about Inflation Reduction Act. And I asked a colleague of mine who was actually working at the White House, I said, okay, so, here are the places, here are the agencies that I'm meeting with. What am I missing? And she said, Department of Labor. And I think that people are really overlooking, as we are working on this rollout of funding to improve infrastructure, we may be overlooking that there are a lot of resources at the federal and state levels to address exactly what you're talking about, supporting workforce, so that they're ready to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. I'll also note that on behalf of the Sacramento Asian Chamber, I'm also working with the California Jobs First. So that's a statewide effort, which again is focused on the things that we're talking about, supporting economic development through a lens of equity and sustainability. So looking beyond for complementary programs is really something that I encourage our business partners to look at. So what I would love, this should be a fun one, any success stories that you want to share, whether that's success on behalf of the commission or maybe from the community itself. So any success stories that you have experienced or observed?
That is a great question. So I'll say one of the success stories for me has been just the recent work that our staff has done on supplier diversity. And I'll have to confess this, not everyone knows what we're talking about, providing more opportunities for small businesses, for diverse-owned businesses. And so oftentimes I feel like I will have to explain what that means, why it's important, sometimes I feel like I may have to convince people. So it was a big win for me to see staff excited to figure this out and to really dig in and determine what can we do differently. And because for staff, that means working even harder. And so I reminded them, this is heart work. That's what I call it, when we have to go above and beyond the requirements to help ensure that all Californians are finding opportunities to thrive and to prosper. So here is one. And I'm excited about what they developed. For example, one of them is just supporting small businesses and diverse-owned businesses to get to know the processes of the Energy Commission, because all state agencies, including the energy commissions, can be very complex and nuanced. And so trying to figure out what are the ways we can do that. So even developing templates so that they can look at for the contracts, or past contracts that have been successful or some that haven't, where maybe we can figure out what are the items of information we can take from that to be able to educate these new folks who want to come in, or folks maybe who didn't do well in the past, trying to get into Energy Commission so that they can secure some contracts. And by that I mean, there's Energy Commission has opportunities for contracting directly with businesses, and then there's going to be opportunities that we have through programs and policies. So more indirect. But either way, we want to make sure that people who are interested to participate in the clean energy space, or participate directly with the Energy Commission, will know that they can, and will have that open door, and hopefully we can provide the support for them to be able to secure those contracts.
Yeah, that's excellent. There's definitely been a through line of some of the things we've talked about today around communication, engagement, and outreach. So I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit more about that. You've highlighted this website, which is wonderful, but any thoughts that you have, and you can also draw on your non-commissioner experience, because it sounds like you have literally translated as well. But I think there's a lot to be said for both the general public accessing information, getting on listservs perhaps, and then also how can those of us in institutional positions like at the state do better outreach and engagement for the communities we're trying to serve?
Outreach and engagement is extremely important, absolutely. So we try to make information accessible in different formats. So one is our website. There's a ton of information there. Folks who are able to navigate websites would be able to go in and look at that. They can definitely sign up for empowerinnovation.net to get those updates. They can go in there to look for the different opportunities that are available. And we also have workshops. So we'll often put on events where we invite the public and enable them to ask questions, to make comments, and just learn about what are the programs that we have. And sometimes we're taking public comment to ask, what can we do better? What do you want us to focus on? And so I would encourage people to participate in those. We take all of that comment very seriously. But I know people don't always have time to do that. That's the hard part is, folks are working usually during the time that we're having these workshops, or they don't have the additional time to be able to get out there. So for organizations that represent these types of businesses, I would say, please, we welcome you to come in and talk to us and find out this information, or, make comments on behalf of folks. And then that way those voices are heard. And we definitely do not want to ignore anyone. We want them to be able to participate. And then what we're also hoping to do is go out to the community more often. So for example, if there's an event that someone has, if it's like Cal Asian Chamber of Commerce, let us know. And we would love to send a representative to have a booth there to inform people what are the opportunities that the Energy Commission is, enabling for folks, or what's coming up, et cetera. So we would love to do that. We also would love to recruit more, folks who are interested to just work in the space. So businesses and, future employees, we would love to have those opportunities. So we're going to do a lot more to get out there. So I'll just give you a couple quick examples from this year. I found out that the Latino Business Association was having an event, and so I asked if it was possible for some of our representatives to go. It was in, I believe it was in Pomona. They were really excited. So both, staff from Energy Commission was excited to go, and they enabled us to have that booth. And I didn't get the results, so I don't know exactly, how we did there. But again, just getting out there, engaging with folks, getting more familiar. And there are other events that we're going to be sending people to do. For example, SoCal Edison invited us, and the Department of Energy invited us to an event where they focused on opportunities for minority-owned businesses. And so we had a booth there, and that was wonderful. We met so many people from different places. I also was in Tampa, Florida not too long ago at another, it was a 2024, now I'm going to forget the entire name, but basically a focus on minority-owned businesses and small businesses, giving them opportunities. And they were really excited. So folks that are in other states are looking forward to working in California or finding business in California, doing partnerships, et cetera. So we're trying to do better of getting out there and getting, going to the community as opposed to waiting for the community to come to us. So we welcome any of those types of invitations from organizations that are representing small businesses, diverse-owned businesses, et cetera.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll confirm that what you say is sincere and true. At my organization, CivicWell, we have absolutely partnered with the CEC, with Strategic Growth Council to host these feedback and listening sessions. And I think they've been really mutually beneficial. So there is very much an opportunity to engage with one another, especially when we are working on behalf, we are a trusted messenger within communities. We as community-based or nonprofit organizations, and CEC historically has been really supportive of making those connections.
Absolutely. We love partnering with CivicWell and with others who, as you said, are trusted and known in their communities. So I may go to Ventura County and folks may know me, but as an energy commissioner, they may not. And so we're doing our best to try to get out there and connect, and definitely will leverage any opportunity we have to have a partner who we can work with.
That's great. Well, I have one question for you as we round out this wonderful session. So, challenges and opportunities. I'm looking at, we have this election cycle and we have the lieutenant governor and governor's race coming up. So, between a lot of anticipated leadership changes in the coming years, that could be a factor that we're thinking about. What are the challenges and opportunities that you see, both as a commissioner and on behalf of the CEC?
Yeah, so I think one of the challenges we're having right now, which could also actually be viewed as an opportunity, is the budget deficit. So, right now we can't throw money at things to solve them. We have to get creative and be resourceful. And so I actually think that's the opportunity we have. It's like, what else can we do if, we don't have necessarily, money to spend in certain areas, or we have less than we thought we would? What are the things that we can do? And so I think that's going to be a big one. Just want to be really direct about about that. Even with the federal funding, there's some opportunities where we thought we were going to have a lot more to be able to craft these, incredible programs, and we're not going to get as much as we thought. However, we can still craft incredible programs, and we're seeing that right now with some of our partners, that they're willing to get in and help us brainstorm to figure out what can that look like. Even though we won't have as much, we still can do a lot of impact. So that'll be the focus. And the elections are also something that we're going to have to prepare for. A lot of transition potentially at the federal level and even at the state, and seeing where the administrations are going to go. So I think we have to plan for those things as well. If it goes, one way or the other, we should be preparing for that. So I don't have any details that I can share at this point on those pathways, but just want to reassure you that we are thinking about it and trying to ensure that either way we have a good future in front of us.
Yeah, and I really do think that there's some great leadership at the CEC that will continue through these changes. So I feel wonderful but we have people like you who are in leadership roles as well. So with that, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with us today, providing your excellent insights. If you enjoyed this program, I hope that you'll join us for the next episode of Space at the Table podcast to learn more from California decision makers on topics that shape all of our communities. This is Bernadette Austin. Thank you so much for joining us.